Back in the summer of 2015, Newcastle United confirmed that Steve McClaren had taken over the vacant managerial position at St James's Park. The 57-year-old took over the Northeast Giants following John Carver's short spell in charge of the Magpies, in which time the latter just about led the club to Premier League safety in 2014-15, finishing 15th in the division, just 4 points clear of the bottom three. But with that campaign proving to be a struggle under the Englishman, the Newcastle hierarchy plumped for the experienced McClaren to lead the club into the 2015-16 season, a decision which was met with fury by a lot of Magpies supporters on Twitter, @NUFC Complete Joke. The club is totally disconnected from its fans. Boring, Roger Walton, @RogWalton, June 10, 2015 @NUFC as unambitious as usual. Mediocrity forever. Nick Williams, @Geordie. Nick, June 10, 2015 @NUFC @Craig_C_W The only club I know that rewards failure. Robert Turp, @RobSherp, June 10, 2015 @NUFC Not for me, we need new approach. Jim Johnston, @JimJohnston 1951, June 10, 2015 @NUFC I'm not going back, enough is enough. Glenn Lockwood, @Glenn Lockwood, June 10, 2015 And with the former Middlesbrough and England manager failing to really get to grips with the role at St James's Park, and eventually losing his job later on that season after a pretty poor run of results, those Newcastle fans were spot on to fume at a shocking club decision. Ultimately, McClaren was relieved of his duties at Championship outfit Derby County just a matter of weeks before taking over at Newcastle, with the 57-year-old overseeing quite the slump at Pride Park to end up leading his side to an 8th-place finish in the second tier, this all after looking good for at least a playoff spot come the end of the season. As such, there were already a few raised eyebrows when he somehow managed to make the step up to the Premier League and earning the Newcastle job back in June 2015, but it soon became very clear that he was not the man for the task given he failed to win any of his opening 8 Premier League games in charge of the Magpies. Yes, a 6-2 victory over Norwich City did pave the way for a few more victories in the run-up to Christmas in 2015, including impressive wins over Liverpool and Tottenham in December that year, but the Northeast Giants were languishing in the bottom three for much of the campaign under McClaren's watch. It simply wasn't good enough. While he somewhat surprisingly retained his job despite 3 successive defeats between Christmas and New Year, just 2 further victories in 9 league games after that forced owner Mike Ashley and the club's hierarchy into the inevitable, eventually parting with McClaren in March 2016 off the back of 5 defeats in their previous 6 matches. Ultimately, leaving that decision as late as they did, even if they did manage to appoint Rafa Benitez as his successor, cost Newcastle dear as they ended up losing their Premier League status that term, but given Benitez led the club to 3 wins and 3 draws in their last 6 games, it certainly wasn't his doing. Instead, the club persevered too long with 57-year-old McClaren despite a pretty wretched season with very few bright sparks under the Englishman, a situation many of the above supporters saw coming upon his appointment as boss in the summer of 2015. Overall though, it's pretty clear that the club made a shocking decision opting for McClaren after Carver, as although it paved the way for Benitez to take over, it also paved the way for a second relegation in just 7 years. Newcastle fans, what do you think? Let us know. Magpies, Mike Ashley, St James Park, Steve McClaren.